Welcome, everyone. We're diving deep today into some fascinating material you sent over, specifically Neville Goddard's 1963 lecture on the crucifixion.
Yes, and right off the bat, it's clear Goddard isn't just rehashing the story we all know. He takes a completely different angle.
He really does. He sets up
hmm
this central tension, doesn't he, between human history, birth to death.
And what he calls divine history, which runs completely backwards, death leading to birth.
Exactly. That contrast is the framework for his whole interpretation.
So our mission here, let's say, is to really unpack Goddard's view, moving past maybe the traditional image of Jesus, to see what he believed the crucifixion means for the individual.
Okay, so first point.
Yeah.
This idea that maybe we've misunderstood Jesus or turned him into something Goddard calls an idol.
That's a core argument for him. He feels that focusing solely on the historical figure of Jesus has sort of obscured the true underlying God, the reality within.
He even uses scripture to back this up, right? Like that passage in Luke.
Luke 18. Jesus tells the disciples quite plainly about the crucifixion, the resurrection.
And they just don't get it.
The text explicitly says they did not understand. This saying was hid from them. Goddard really leans into that hid from them part,
Suggesting that maybe the understanding wasn't meant to be purely intellectual or historical back then, and maybe it still isn't.
precisely. And this ties into his claim that he's speaking from experience, not just theory, but something he lived.
Personal realization is key for him. It's not about abstract theology.
Not at all. It's about waking up to this divine reality within yourself. Which brings us to his ideas about, well, divine death and birth.
Right, this beginning in the tomb and awakening in the womb. It's a reversal.
It is. And you mentioned Blake earlier. That quote is so important here.
The one about, unless I die, thou canst not live.
Yes. Unless I die, that canst not live. But if I die, I shall arise again, and thou with me. Wouldest thou die for one who never died for thee? That's central.
So the idea is, God has to undergo a kind of death within us, like descending into our individual awareness.
That seems to be the core of it. It's a necessary step for our awakening, our spiritual rebirth. And Goddard emphasizes that this divine giving is total, completely focused on each individual.
As if no one else exists. That's a powerful image.
It really is. And for Goddard, this wasn't just a concept. He had a very specific, vivid experience related to this.
The one where he was walking with a crowd.
Yeah, a multitude, he says, dressed in Arabic clothes. And he hears this voice say, and God walks with them.
And then there's that interaction with the woman.
Right. The Arab woman looks at him, questions the voice, and then asks, looking right at Goddard, what is Neville God?
And the voice's answer. That's the kicker, isn't it?
It really is. The voice says, God laid himself down within you to sleep, and as he slept, he dreamed a dream. He dreamed. He was dreaming that he's me.
Wow. God, dreaming he's each of us. That's quite something to wrap your head around.
Definitely a mind bender. It suggests our individual lives are, in a sense, God's dream.
And then, his description of the crucifixion sensation itself, it's so unexpected.
Totally. He calls it delightful, joyful even, not agony.
He talks about these vortices in his hands, head, feet, side.
Vortices that kind of propelled him back into his body, but with joy. He says it's like a memory image returning as he awakened.
So it's not physical pain, but an intensely powerful, transformative feeling, a realization.
It seems so. More symbolic of an inner process than a literal reenactment of physical torment. It underscores how symbolic he views the whole thing.
And this symbolic view extends to time in Scripture, too, like
Right.
the different accounts of Jesus' last words.
Exactly. Matthew and Mark have, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? But John has, it is finished. And look, Luke is different again.
Luke uses a psalm, right? Into thy hand I commit my spirit.
Yes, Psalm 31, verse 5. And Goddard points out the full verse includes, thou hast redeemed me, O Lord, faithful God, linking it directly to resurrection, to promise.
So the specific words aren't as crucial as the underlying meaning they symbolize.
That seems to be his perspective. Same with time references, like Blake's 6,000 years or the Bible's 3 days.
He sees those as symbolic intervals, necessary periods for something else to happen.
Right, for the creation of what he calls the immortal garment, that spiritual body. He even quotes Romans 6.5.
If we have been united with Christ in a death like his, we shall certainly be united with him in a resurrection like his.
Pointing towards a universal experience, not just a one-off historical event.
Okay, so this immortal garment, how does the story of Isaac fit in? Goddard says Isaac isn't about generation in the normal sense.
No, he interprets Isaac as representing the shaping of the unbegotten.
Yeah.
Basically, God, the unbegotten source, shaping himself on the individual.
Like an imprint.
Sort of. This birth from above, this spiritual awakening, triggers, he says, a period roughly 9 months of mystical experiences where this shaping happens.
A kind of spiritual gestation period.
You could put it that way. He quotes scripture like Isaiah and Habakkuk to emphasize that this process is certain, it has its own timing, but it will happen.
As I have planned it, so shall it be.
It is sure it will not be late. That sense of divine certainty.
So our physical body, then, is, what, just temporary?
He calls it a veil or a mold. Temporary, yes. The real lasting form is this immortal garment made by God onto which God molds himself.
And throughout all these experiences, Goddard says he was always aware of.
I am.
Yes, that core sense of being. He sees the whole process as God fundamentally giving himself to the individual, becoming one with them. He connects this to Philippians 1.6.
He who began a good work in you will bring it to completion.
At the day of Jesus Christ. And for Goddard, Jesus Christ is that completed perfection of God within us.
So, circling back to the crucifixion again, it's not the end, but the start of this whole divine drama.
That's exactly his point. It's the catalyst. God dies for man, meaning within man, so that man can awaken as God.
He uses the analogy of the grain of wheat, doesn't he?
John 12.24. Unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it brings forth much fruit. And the earth is our body, where God, believing himself to be human, dies to allow the human to become divine.
That's the interpretation, which leads him to redefine the Holy Sepulcher.
Not a place in Jerusalem?
No. For Goddard, the true Holy Sepulcher is, quite startlingly, our own skull.
Our skull.
Our wonderful human skull, he calls it. That's where God sleeps, where he dreams he is us, until we finally awaken as him.
It all comes back to God's purpose.
Yeah.
Giving himself completely to each one of us.
Symbolized, he says, by giving his son as our son.
Which connects to that other key mystical experience he describes, recognizing David.
Yes, the second major event. The sudden intuitive knowing that David is his son, and David recognizing him, calling him my Lord, my Father.
And that's the moment of realizing one's true identity, as the Father.
As the Father, the source, the unbegotten, he ties it to Psalm 2.7. Thou art my son, today I have begotten thee. God proves his gift, his love, by making his son our son.
It's a profound shift in identity. He also mentions Ecclesiastes.
Ecclesiastes 3.11. The word translated eternity in many versions is olam in Hebrew.
And olam can mean youth, a young man.
Yes, youth, man, stripling. He connects this directly to the figure of David, the eternal youth who reveals the Father.
There's also the story from 1 Samuel with King Saul asking about David's father.
Right, and David says he's the son of thy servant Jesse the Bethlehemite. Goddard connects Jesse directly to I am.
Sissy. I am Jehovah Jesus. It's all one divine identity being revealed.
That's how he presents it. And the prophecy connected to that story, that David's father will be set free, signifies the spiritual liberation that comes with this realization.
So once you know yourself as the Father through the Son, you're free from what? The cycle, the turmoil.
The 6,000 years of turmoil, as he puts it, quoting Blake, it's an inner freedom. He quotes Blake again, saying not to be intimidated by the world's horrors.
Everything is ordered and correct and must fulfill its destiny in order to achieve perfection. And he brings in Proverbs 16.4. God made everything for its purpose, even the wicked for the day of trouble. It all serves the ultimate plan.
It implies a deep trust in an underlying divine order, despite appearances.
Absolutely, a trust that everything leads towards this awakening.
And this awakening happens where? In the tomb that turns out to be the womb.
Exactly. The final realization is that the place of seeming limitation, the tomb, was actually the place of birth, the womb, all along. The place where the crucifixion, unknown to us consciously, actually occurred.
So, okay, if this is the inner reality, how does it translate into, well, practical living? He talks about prayer and imagination.
Yes, he draws a parallel with the Sermon on the Mount, shifting laws from external actions to internal states like adultery in the heart.
So prayer isn't just asking, it's about inhabiting the state of the wish fulfilled.
Precisely. Living in the imagination as if your desire is already a fact, moving beyond just what our senses tell us.
He quotes Mark 11.24. Whatever you asked in prayer, believe you have received it, and you will. And his definition of prayer is interesting too, not just asking, but motion toward, accession to, nearness at.
It implies action, but imaginative action.
Yes, closing the gap in consciousness between your current state and your desired state. You have to feel it real.
Then he describes these culminating experiences, being embraced by infinite love.
An experience of merging with infinite love, becoming one with it, yet somehow still retaining the sense of being oneself, recognizing it as oneself.
A state of unity, but not annihilation of identity.
That seems to be the feeling. Then he speaks of a final journey, an ascension. He uses very symbolic language.
Golden liquid light, a seraphim, a human serpent.
Yeah, referencing Isaiah and Blake's Gates of Paradise about shedding the sexual garments, the male-female mold, to attain the true, immortal, sexless body of God.
So the ultimate state is beyond our current physical forms and divisions.
That's the implication. And it comes back to God's desire for a direct relationship, no intermediaries.
Because God is unbegotten.
Those he awakens as himself also realize they have no origin in the conventional sense. Their origin is God. This is proven, he says, through recognizing the Son.
And this isn't just for him or a select few. He insists it's universal.
Completely universal, a pilgrimage everyone is on, whether they know it or not. He even suggests his listeners will have similar experiences, that same sense of awakening.
Re-emphasizing that the feeling of being nailed to the body is actually delightful, part of the awakening process.
Yes. And he ends powerfully with Blake again. Unless I die, thou canst not live. Reiterating that God's death within us is essential for our existence and ultimate resurrection with him.
So pulling it all together from this deep dive, Goddard radically reframes the crucifixion. It's not history, it's mystery. It's happening in us.
Right. Scripture, time, they become symbolic pointers to this inner drama. The key is realizing our true identity as the Father, revealed by the Son, David.
Leading to an ultimate awakening, a oneness with the divine, with God.
It really shifts the whole perspective.
It certainly leaves you with a provocative thought. The crucifixion, typically seen as this dark ending, is, in Goddard's view, the actual profound beginning of our own divine journey.
The unveiling of who we truly are, unbegotten. It makes you really sit with that idea. God dreaming, he is you.
A lot to ponder there.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing these sources and exploring them with us today.
Thank you. It was a fascinating dive.